no, spring of 1974.
Okay, we're live. This is the Senate Transportation Committee, Wednesday, Valentine's Day, February 14th. We're moving on from miles-based user fees to paving and how we're paying for it and what are we paving? How we decide what to pave or other things that Rob White from the Agency of Transportation is going to tell us about.
I can think of 130 million reasons why this is a very important subject.
Thank you. For the record, Robert White, Project Delivery Bureau Director at the Agency of Transportation, and I'm standing in for Jesse Devlin today. I'm his stunt double, so he had some things going on that he had to deal with. But yes, paving program, the appropriation is a little over 130 million. That is a decrease of a little over 11 million from FY 2024. And although it is a decrease, it is still the third highest budget for this program that we've seen in quite some time. The past 2 years were actually two of the highest years that we've seen because of COVID and some other funds coming to us for that.
And to add to that, are we going to see, in your opinion, maybe some better pricing? So maybe it's not, maybe the 130 million buys us a little bit more than what it would have last year?
We are definitely hoping for that. And another thing that helps us out is the gas prices going down a little bit, because at least in the paving program, there is a lot of price adjustment usually at the end of those projects because of fuel price changes. So I know the fuel prices are coming down a little bit, so we are hoping.
What were the miles? 138 miles is for the 25 budget. What do you remember what it was last year? Or how many we ended up doing?
I believe it was I believe it was slightly higher, but I don't have the exact number.
And why, when you look at your projections going forward, why would it go up and down like that? You would think it would just kind of be like, you know,
The number of miles?
No, the dollar. So it goes 138, 142, then back to 139.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with, and I think Jesse has talked about this in past testimony, is, you know, the breadth of the paving projects are, you know, we have the lowest level that are really quick, simple shim overlay projects. And then the upper level is really close to a full roadway reconstruction in some ways.
This is based on really what's in the book.
Right. More of those complicated projects, more money needed. Simpler shim projects, less money.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Like your Route 2 project in your
Is
district.
that done yet?
I think so.
I think
The one between
got
Marshfield
another-
and Plainfield
Another
is.
whole year.
Yeah.
You kind of finished cleaning it up kind of thing. There's no
Well, I got some more.
We'll do another section, so they'll have ease.
I know that, but the section that you did this summer is completed, isn't it?
No, we've got another layer.
You're gonna have a layer
Another
down.
layer?
So
Oh my
we'll do,
gosh.
More stopped traffic for you.
Well, that's true, isn't it?
well, that way it'll be paved top all the way through.
Right, because it looked like there was still shoulder work and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And I assume that is beyond, but above budget and time because of the floods.
There were obviously some flood damages. We did track those separately, and I believe we did assign those to ER funds, so they didn't necessarily go directly to the project funds. That would be, you know, traditional funds.
So FEMA would pay for them.
Federal Highway ER.
Great, thank you.
And so an interesting thing about our paving program budget is this is probably the first year we actually have all our paving projects out on the street or already assigned to contractors for this coming summer. So normally we would put some early, we'd have some a little late thinking they could do some startup, and then the main project would be the following year, or we would wait till the fall and those would be next year's projects. But for this year, we have all our paving projects already out for the year. And as this mentions, this budget includes the funding of 46 paving projects. It also includes some preliminary engineer and right-of-way work for projects that are out in the future as well. Um, 10G report. So the first part of the 10G1 report is the projects that are being added. And this list is somewhat smaller than you've probably seen in the past, and that's because last year and the year before, we actually pulled in quite a substantial amount of paving projects. And so there are some more complicated projects in there that will take us a year or two to develop. And so we didn't need as many projects to be pulled into the program this year. That's why that's slightly smaller. And then here are the overrun projects. I'm gonna try to just manipulate my screen here a little bit. So there's 4 projects on this list: Colchester, Essex, that was paving on Vermont Route 15. It was a 1.95 mile mill and fill project. The main reason that this is higher than we anticipated is kind of what I was talking about before. This was a fairly common project in more of a rural setting, but this one is in more of an urban setting. And so we have to deal more with curbs, drainage structures, traffic. So I think we missed the impact that would have on cost, and that's why this one came in higher. East Montpelier Hardwick, that's the Vermont Route 14 project. 18.92 miles of reclaim. This is one of those more complicated projects, and there's quite a range of prices for these. And I think we were thinking it would be more towards the lower end, and ultimately it came up at the higher end of what these projects would generally cost. And that's very similar to the Killington Stockbridge project, Vermont Route 100, 10.69 miles of reclaim. Very similarly, we thought it was going to be more at the mid or lower end of those types of projects. Ended up being at the higher end when we were done.
So it's a 10 miles, so it's gonna be
27
$27
million.
million.
That's like over 2 million, obviously.
Can we ask,
In a mile.
can we ask about what type of bidding that we had on those projects?
I can definitely get that information for you, surely. I mean, I think generally our bidding, it's for paving projects is generally the same pool of folks. And I think Jesse has reported out before that we had no projects that had no bidders in the paving program last year. But I can definitely get that for you.
And there have been times when you've had one bidder that you felt was too high and you put it out again.
Yeah, usually when we get one bidder, we're looking at, did we miss the estimate for something else? Is there something we didn't consider? And if we feel there's something that just doesn't feel right, we'll either pull it back, maybe make a minor adjustment to the project itself, and then put it back out to bid. And then sometimes if we feel it is, a reasonable or a good bid based on risk and other things, we will award it.
So one of the things that you're trying to do is get greater expertise in estimating costs.
Yes.
Estimator. And so it seems like these examples of where that expertise really would have helped
Yeah, I
understand what the final cost was going to be.
Yeah, I believe it will. I mean, a lot of our staff right now that are doing estimates, they're running bid histories and they're trying to make a determination of what we think that's going to cost based on bid history. But I think, somebody else could bring this to a higher level of what is the risk, right? It's not just about the items and the cost of those items. It's also risk to the contractor. They're going to weigh up each project and figure out, especially in these times with, worker shortages and things of that nature, so I think that position could help with those types of things.
Do we have any paving companies that won't bid with the state?
I'm not aware of any.
I know we have some concrete
Yeah.
companies that
Yeah.
don't bid with the state.
Well, yeah, Jeremy Reed, Chief Engineer. So, we do have currently one concrete producer who is, I won't say they're refusing because they're working on the Irishburg Bridge, but they have significant heartburn with some of our specs. We haven't experienced that with the paving producers. There are some smaller paver producers,
Right,
pavement
let's go for the
who
project.
just, they're not built for state work, but there's no sort of principled objection to to our contracts from the paving community.
Brygate St. J.
Yep,
Shauna,
and the last
your project that's.
It used to be.
Oh,
Yeah, and similarly on that one, it's a long linear project, mill and fill project, that I think we just missed the initial mark when we were getting ready to go out with it.
almost 20 miles.
Yeah. And so the last 10G3 is, these are all the projects that are completed and gonna be coming off the book.
I wonder why we asked you to do the G3 report, like, do we do that for all the tabs in the budget? Because the 10G reports are in every section, right, the bridges and everything, but is it always which ones you completed?
Yes.
Do you know why we asked which?
The house did.
I
That's the answer.
think the original thought was that you could take your area and look quickly and see which ones were coming on and which ones were completed. And so, report back to your constituents on, the ones that did get completed and are a success and the new ones that are gonna be coming along. That was my
And like
understanding.
the Route 2, well, no, I guess the Montpelier, that's a different part, that's not the Route 2
No.
by Mark, but that's a different project.
And who's scrubbing those projects after to see if there's any remaining dollars left? Is the house doing that as well? I know in institutions, they got a subcommittee that does that, but do you guys go back through? Is anybody going back through and?
It's all within what very large appropriation, so it's just carry forward.
Yeah.
It's not as though they've got a lot of fungibility, shall we say.
And do those projects go back into paving, or do they just go back into your general fund as far as where it's at?
It goes back into whatever program that money came from, so
Paving
there,
would stay in paving, for example.
But you could move it if you needed to.
if there was a paving project that was using general STP funds, it could go back into the STP funds for carry forward and could be used on something other than paving. So whatever program the money came from originally is where it's gonna go back to.
And am I correct that all this information in the book is on the DOT's website somewhere?
I believe it is.
Can you send me that link?
Sure.
And is it in this format or is it in like an Excel format? Because you do it by alphabetical of the kind of name of the project, but sometimes, because you're pointing, like when people want to ask me like, hey, is my project in the book? And I'm like, well, what's it called? And then like, I don't know if it's on Route 2 or something, so. But if I could sort by town or by something.
I think it's a PDF.
I think, Jeremy Reed, probably the best thing for that information would be transparency, because you go to the location, you won't even need the project name or number, and you can pick over, that area and pull up the project factual
Projects on, so that's on that map.
Yeah.
Exactly, right, so if you were looking for a bridge on Route 2, for instance, you could just click on it.
So any project in the book is on that map? Even if it's like 4 years out?
Any project that is 3 years out or currently under construction. I think 3 years is the window. If it's 4 years out, it won't show up there.
What's it called? V-Transparency?
Correct. So if you just Google, V-Transparency, it should pop up, and you can filter it to construction only projects
You're just
or
pulling it
design
up, huh?
only.
Okay. Yeah, I'm like,
I'm looking at it right now.
well, you have the advantage of having tech support.
I am. That's true, because I wouldn't be able to do it. Not with my little iPhone.
You found it?
Yes.
I'll just make one statement. I get constituents, and this is not South Burlington advocacy, all right? But the most heavily traversed intersection in the state is in South Burlington, and it's bright purple on this map. And I'm hearing a lot of complaints about how it needs pavement and love. So that's the intersection of Route 2 and Dorset Street, so right off Figs at 14. So I'm hoping that's coming up, and I guess I can look at the books.
That's where the second drawbridge is going.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be great. But it's bright purple, and it's in terrible disrepair, and I guess it's on V-Trans, so I don't know where that stands.
Or is that a city street?
You go to Project Map,
Route 2.
is that what you did?
It's Route 2.
So I'm being told by constituents, the
Yes.
city manager is talking to V-Trans, and I'm sure you guys are working through it, but
Does it show a project there?
I don't know, what does that mean? pavement condition is what I'm looking at.
Oh,
Did you go to pavement projects or, so there isn't a map for all projects, it's like you go to the paving tab or you go to the construction tab or.
Right, so the map will show all projects.
I'm saying it's just tough shape.
And then you can sort by under construction.
got potholes.
right, design.
So you can go to, I guess, so you go to the projects tab or box and then you go to the project map and that would be all projects, whether it be paving or bridge
Correct.
or pedestrian. Okay, did you get your question answered about South Burlington?
I did.
What's the answer? Is it
I'm just
on-
stating what I'm
doing
hearing from
something
people.
for you?
I'm trusting that V-Trans is just working through the process. I'm hearing from constituents about how rough that, and I'm told it's the most heavily traversed intersection in the state. It needs some love.
That's where the old Howard Johnson's used to be, that turn to Dorset Street.
Yeah.
That's,
Yes.
I try not to go to Chippewa. Try not to.
Look at the Costco.
I've never been to Costco.
That's also busy.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And that Dorset would go out to Kennedy Drive, is that where that goes?
Oh, Kennedy, yes. And Kennedy's in great shape, but that's not a state road, is it?
No, and I think that was done through municipal assistance, wasn't
That's
it,
South
years ago?
Burlington too, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is in my constituency.
Oh, you're talking to Tom? I didn't hear a tax proposed, I'm good.
Whole. All right.
Okay.
Peachum Marshfield, 232, that's down through Groton State Forest then?
Yep.
Huh. That was in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, it was.
that was.
I think that's in bad shape every third year, it seems like. It seems like it's a hard road to keep flat, like, and I was just told that's just like the condition of the roadbed. Like,
No, and probably it was an old cow path that just got paved.
but they've done reclaim, dug down, and it still gets huge frost heaves on that road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they've done it, I don't remember a reclaim on that. Yeah, so I think, it's just the sub base is not great.
No.
We keep putting lipstick on that big basically.
I'd like you to know Route 2 is actually a Paleo Indian trail.
Yeah.
Yeah, from Maine coast through, yes, and, cause it went through the notches and so forth. I just thought I would tell you, and there are actually a lot of archaeological sites along Route 2.
That was the main road before 89, right? 89 sort of went along Route 2.
No, Route 2 is, no, east-west.
7.
Route 7 goes north-south. We go, Route 2
Route
starts in
14.
Maine and goes all the way to the west coast. Just like Route 1 goes from Maine all the way to Florida.
If someone wanted to go down the road,
Oh, really?
100.
Oh, that would be beautiful.
Roller skates?
Yeah, both ways.
I want to go through Smuggler's Notch. I haven't been through there, I think, in 100 years.
Take a large bus, it's more interesting.
Yeah, it's great.
Large.
It's a great place to get started.
So
Oh,
Ernie, were you gonna say anything about paving?
I was not.
Okay, I'm just here for emotional support.
no, he's
No,
here
he's
for
the
road
guy.
maintenance.
Oh,
He's
okay.
our next victim.
Okay.
Oh.
Witness.
I was looking at older one, I had the names switched around. Okay, anything else, Rob?
That's it for paving.
Anything you wanna say about charging for right of ways?
I could sit here and talk for hours about it if you want to, but I want to give Ernie his due.
Okay, thank you.
It was slippery this morning, Ernie, I heard.
Yeah, it was cold. Took a while for the salt to work this morning.
Don't go that far.
Don't
go that far,
Okay.
just in case I have troubles.
Okay.
Oh, well.
Well, the paving companies are leaving.
Keep talking about paving.
Yeah, once you get out the door.
Or just wait.
Yeah.
At the paving.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great. You know what? You wanna hear what just happened? Is I lost my email and I lost everything.
You lost your
Pretty
email.
close to being a tech toad. I just kind of hop along.
I do not see any, I don't even
That's
have
what,
my email.
that's the sheet.
Is it Outlook?
Right here?
Yes, I have it right here. Yeah.
Everything all.
I registered that after I looked.
Does anybody need a hard copy? I did bring some if you want.
I'm gonna get printed out a couple.
Okay.
To here. And I lost the card.
Winter maintenance, how are we doing so far?
We're doing really well
I
this
would
year.
think.
There's usually we see that, I don't know if it's on here, this is just like,
We're tracking
you
about,
have that dashboard.
we're tracking about just a smidgen over what we tracked last year, which was under a 500.
Just wait a second.
In other words, stop touching
Is
it.
that dashboard on the maintenance budget, is that the public facing dashboard or that's just central?
I do not believe that's a public face document.
So, right, you know that pullout just
say
out
no
of,
to audio.
Plainfield by Goddard
Don't do
College?
Yes.
Yeah, you're cutting down all those
Yes.
trees and stabilizing the bank, is that what
Step one was to get the trees off
I need
before
to
they
turn
fall in the
that
river.
off then, or
They
no?
were gonna fall into the
I
water.
don't, just,
And
The
then
river is that close?
okay, cause
The
it
river's
should.
that close.
it's almost straight down.
Really?
Okay, so wait until you share your screen to find.
The pull off, it used to be a
I
picture.
slowed down one,
Share.
you're outside of Plainfield, there's a little picnic area.
So,
I slowed down one day
Is it?
when I was coming on that side of the road. Yeah, it looks pretty, and well, what are they doing? Putting down piling?
So right now, there's designing a
Okay, so
project.
now go back to.
There's some big rig, it looks like a well.
They're putting in some,
Share screen.
Folks, dowels that basically determine on how
Oh, yes.
quickly it's moving.
So they're just like for monitoring purposes.
Yeah, it
Yes.
is. Click
Yeah.
that and
Because I don't know if there was a front porch
Should I
forum
put it into
that the
PowerPoint
emergency
first or
coordinator
into
of
the
Plainfield
slide
put out,
mode?
like, oh, they're gonna have to shut down Route
Yeah,
2, the
so-
crack is heading for the road. So
Oh, I
they're
know,
gonna
I think
brief
that's
people.
what everybody was responding
It
to.
created quite a stir with the media, but that was a little bit off from what we were actually
I
doing.
didn't realize the river came that close.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, it's always been pretty close there, but because of the flood.
If I did new.
And then people say like, why are they cutting the trees?
This.
But I assume that's just to
Double
get
click,
them.
okay, now
Well, one, they're
double
leaning
click.
towards the road, and when they, if it does fail, they're gonna kick out
Yeah.
and go into the road.
So we're good?
So we wanna get them down before something happens.
Shauna, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Ernie Patnell, Director of Maintenance, and Shauna Clifford, Acting Deputy Director of Maintenance. And appreciate you helping me out,
Was your
Shauna.
family name at one point Neaude?
So I'm guessing that it was, because I only have like 6 or 7 relatives with my name spelled the same way or the name spelled the same way, but I've never looked into it.
Looks like it's been anglicized.
Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
So I'm here to present the maintenance budget today. It's around, let me get my glasses here and get set up. So we did something similar, but a little bit different. I have been through this presentation in the past. It takes me a little longer than a half hour, so I was thinking about hitting the high points,
It would be.
and then you folks could hit me up for questions afterwards.
And this is tab.
Shauna, I need to get my notes. Remember that from
Yeah.
last time?
Tab H.
Should be around 108 million change. Is that match what you have in the book?
Yep.
Should.
107.
Okay.
I don't think.
Oh, yeah. 108, 530, 765 was one of them.
That's
Oh,
24,
there we
and
go,
25 is just almost 108.6.
Yeah.
So
You're all.
just a general AOT comment. So paving that we just did, just starts with the estimated FY on the cover page. But I like the way you did it, because you gave us the FY '23 actuals,
Yes.
which is helpful. And then FY '24 appropriated, so it gives us some more historical content, and then just instead of starting with.
That's exactly why we did it, to show you what you got for your money in 23. 24, of course, isn't complete, and then what we're proposing for 25, and there's some differences.
So you could do that for bid.
I took the note mentally,
Okay.
yeah, I got it.
So we have an activity tracking system. That's how we keep track of our dollars. There's around 130 codes that we built to, and we used to come in with all 130 codes. I think Senator Kitchell may have been here for that, and it would take forever. And eventually we'd get partway through and folks would say, okay, we're good. So we grouped a lot of these activities together. And so some of them.
Your technique is to just kill us with detail and then we forget to look at
Yeah.
the important stuff. Standard technique.
So I wanted to talk about some of the stuff here, maintaining structures. Those would be such thing as DIs, stuff like that. Our maintenance folks laid hands on around 3,800 drainage structures last fall. That's just trying to paint the picture of what we do with some of these dollars. And like I said, I'm gonna hit the big ones. Maintaining signs, our maintenance folks laid their hands on around, let's see. For some reason my glasses are giving me a hard time today. Is it 11,000 signs?
Yes.
Yeah, so our maintenance folks maintained 11,000 either broken signs or replaced 11,000 signs for those dollars.
So, I have a question.
Sure.
Municipalities, like for example, have the benefit of some of the state contracting and stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of signage for town roads. Are towns able to get those signs under your agreement so that they get the best pricing?
They indeed can use that contract.
They can,
Yep.
do they?
I actually think some towns may try to secure a better price than even what we could get it for. And so sometimes the state contract sometimes isn't
The best.
the best deal for a small town. They may know Tim, the sign guy, who can,
Do something with it.
yes,
Right.
that's very common in smaller towns. This is an interesting fact about winter maintenance. This is just above the black
I
line.
see that. 23.
Yes, it's a huge number. We increased it for FY '25, and that's because we always run our maintenance budget on a 5-year average, not what we did the year before. So we've had this will be the third very lean winter in a row. So it could start skewing our 5-year average a little bit.
And so if you get a good storm a year from now, that rolling average could come back to haunt you.
Yes, they could, because we're now in year 3 of a 5-year average of a fairly mild winter. Some of the mildest winters on record.
You're always all state money or something.
We are, there's very little federal dollars in here, maybe 600,000, and that goes to like an environmental program that we have. Our plowing number is the biggest number in this budget, one of the biggest numbers, and just kind of interesting little fact, we plowed about, let's see, 1.5 million miles, so that's taking a fleet of 4 plow trucks plowing to the moon and back. A fleet of 4 trucks. They would be able to plow to the moon, turn around, come back, and that was just in the FY '23.
How many miles is it to the moon? Or
240,
240 miles?
240,000 miles
oh
to the
my
moon.
goodness, 240,000.
Yeah,
Wow, that's smaller than I thought it was.
Oh,
I was
it's a
watching
lot
the
closer.
report.
Why did that moon project,
Yeah.
the land and man cost so much?
Like a little laugh.
Oh, you could have driven them.
I'd like to take credit for that statistic, but I actually saw another state had used that, how many times they plowed to the moon and back, and I thought that was pretty cool.
So, but the winter maintenance plowing is the biggest part of that. Is that what you just said, or is plowing somewhere separate?
No, plowing is the biggest part of winter maintenance, and rolled up into those codes are plow blades, which is a major expense, probably a couple $1 million throughout the state.
Because they break or they get worn down?
We wear them down, yeah. The abrasiveness on the asphalt,
Yeah.
they wear down there.
But they've got kind of springs or, I mean, on the plow itself. What are the,
They do, the plow will have a trip edge,
yeah.
yeah, and then some of the new modern blades are, well, I just found out what was wrong with my glasses.
There's no glass in it.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh,
No, I got it.
Oh, there we go.
oh, you got it.
For the life of me, I could not understand why I was having such a, sorry about that, folks.
That's why you couldn't see.
I could not see that sheet hardly at all.
Take your time, just get it right, not a big deal.
We can read.
Are they like 2.0s? Do you want mine?
I give you mine.
No, I'm good. I'll get it. I'll get it. Got it. No, I got it. Thank you very much. Like I said, for the life of me, I was looking at that sheet. I'm like, why can't I see that sheet?
Now you know.
Oh my goodness. Now, doesn't that make a huge difference? I can read my own writing now. Thank you. Sorry about that. So it also includes the driver maintenance portion of the truck. So not the central garage portion, but the driver maintenance. Might have a headlight out, might need a tire. So that,
Wages, are they in that number?
yeah, wages are in this number.
The winter maintenance? Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, in that portion. So these codes, all these activities to the left, these are codes that we build to. So 4810 is actually plowing, sanding, salting, pushing snowbanks back.
So what is 4850?
4850 is supporting winter maintenance. And so that could be anything that doesn't fall into the other codes. 4820 is maintaining the trucks. That would be the changing plow blades, changing a light, changing a tire.
What about loading the salt and all that?
Yep, that would be in the 4810 portion.
The cost of salt, the cost of sand, so on.
So that's a rolled up number.
I will talk about South Burlington again, if that's all right, but city council for 8 years, they would always bring forward every year salt consumption. Are we gonna get I'd love to know if the state is seeing and how our salt consumption has varied or fluctuated relative to miles plowed and so on.
We have seen that in the past, and I think
We
that,
have seen that.
what do we call dashboard has that on there, and that doesn't even have it over multiple years.
It does.
Yeah, so I think if we saw that dashboard, we would see, because that gives you salt consumption, sand consumption.
It gives you everything.
Yeah.
Liquid salt.
We usually see it, maybe the secretary showed it briefly on like the overview slide.
I'd be happy to send it.
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah,
I'd be happy to.
because there's been an effort to use salt wisely, remember, yeah. Less or leave less, not less, because the conditions might require more, but just more efficiently, I guess. You know, they still have the same road conditions, but using less, so, that's what that, remember that, adding a little water to it so it doesn't bounce around, but.
Another nice little interesting fact here down towards in between the two last black line, washing bridges. We washed around 671 bridges last year. That is the top and the bottom of the bridge. We strive to wash every bridge on a 2-year cycle. So 50% 1 year, 50% the other. They're our most expensive assets that we have. We try to take care of them.
How many bridges?
I would have to get you that number. I am not sure.
It's gotta be.
I would say around 12 or 1,300 bridges,
I would think there
because the 671's around half. So,
washing, but it does really help the cement.
oh yes, yes, it will protect it. And then after we wash them, we have a cyclical maintenance program of applying preservative materials. And we can't get them all every year, but in FY23, we sprayed silene on those bridges after we washed them, and we sprayed 141 bridges with silene to protect the concrete.
It's $1 million between the two of them, so.
Yeah.
So we didn't actually paint any lines and.
So that's a deceiving number, and I certainly can touch on that. Painting lines is a federally eligible project now, and so that is being done by someone else. And we don't have a good way to track when we do district leveling. We do mostly our own painting, and it rolls into another code.
Right.
And I did notice that, and I'm gonna adjust that for next year.
Rob, can I ask you one more paving question? It's on the Route 2 project, which I don't know if you know about the rumble strip in the middle. Would that happen at the last, after they do the last? Because people asked, because that's the policy now, is basically do rumble strips on any new project, right?
Right, and like Jeremy said, right now it's just the base course down. There'll actually be the wearing course will be the final lift.
And that's what they would do.
And it'll be after that.
Okay.
Maintaining shoulders, another large number. We maintain the shoulder for for about 6,000 miles, whether they had a small reel in them or they were too high, too low. That was just in 1 year. Tree cutting, this is a massive number. We cut 28,900 trees in FY '23, but the catch is our system tracks 3-inch and larger is a tree, 3-inch and lower is a brush.
How many did you plant?
With that,
Planting?
no, we planted 0 trees, and most of the trees that we cut, I would say 90% of the trees that we cut, and your constituents should probably hear from them. Any tree that can touch the asphalt, we consider it a hazard
If it fell, you mean?
if it fell.
Well, the other thing is the shading and can really make your road ice over.
It is also part of our effort to reduce sodium
And a lot
chloride.
of those trees actually Mother Nature planted.
Yeah.
I mean, they're encroaching and you
I only hear about it like when the state road goes through a neighborhood or a municipality. where
cut down a
people
maple
are-
tree.
Yeah, some big 100-year-old tree or something.
And you've been busy on the interstate right of ways, I see. You guys have been cleaning some of those up.
We are.
Yeah.
And
It's going back into your fuel process of heating your building, some of your buildings.
yeah, well, actually, we heat a lot of our buildings with wood, outdoor wood boilers, the most efficient ones, the gasifiers. And, and they heat their hot water as well in those buildings with that furnace. So it's an added bonus. And like I was saying, when you cut those trees back and you let the sunlight in on that black pavement, it reduces our sodium chlorides. Literally, there could be sections you can reduce it by 50%. If the sun comes out, it will.
Right on cue.
Yeah, right on cue.
You've got great power.
So another interesting things that we like to talk about is picking litter. Every spring, we pick every mile of highway. And last year we picked 601 ton, or excuse me, FY '23, 601 tons of trash. That number comes based off our dump tickets, our weight tickets. So that's a real number. I mean, that's not a guesstimate or anything. That's a real number. And I'd like to share that when you take a tandem axle plow truck and you pack it full of dry garbage, McDonald's cups and stuff, it doesn't even weigh 2 tons. So we picked up about 300 tandem loads of garbage.
Sometimes in pullouts, you find a lot of pullouts are really, and I was going up the interstate toward Newport, the pullout, the rest area, and there were bags of garbage there. And I was thinking, would that be because the highway department had kind of cleaned them up and were waiting to pick them up?
No.
Or were people just using that as a place to dispose of their household garbage?
Unfortunately, they're just
Have you
disposing.
noticed that, Russ?
I have.
Yeah,
I have.
Yeah,
Prosecuting that much or you're
no,
enforcing it?
no,
Because
probably,
it's against the law, right?
it's against the
against the
law,
law.
but I couldn't believe
$800 fine.
it was a huge amount, a number of bags, like, I could see just from going by.
You have to go through the trash and try to find who it is. You're not spending time.
So we've actually done that several times in the past, and then what happens is they get a name and an address, and the person just says, "Well, I don't know how that got there," and there's no camera and no.
Right,
So enforcement is just
Yes.
about possible.
right. But it might make us think about it again if they got a visit by a trooper. But hey, we found your trash.
Just hit the down arrow.
You get some news coverage of it. You can actually prosecute somebody, sends a message.
Well, if you
That one didn't like it, John.
caught them in the act,
You just switch it.
I mean, stores have a terrible time with,
Yeah.
people.
We had a car wash. We had a dumpster there. It was just a battle. It just was.
People were, unless you
Yeah,
walk
I mean,
in.
where our vacuums were, and they'd pull in, and it was just a game, and it was a battle. I mean, we were a couple dumpsters a week.
Yeah.
A couple dumpsters a week.
Hey, the very last one, Senator Manz is missing.
I see that.
Saw that one?
Robbery.
Right here,
Yeah,
yeah, on the back of the first page.
Operation Robbery.
So I'd love to talk about that as well. So you see a massive increase, and the reason is,
Because we have a drawbridge.
no, it is, but in FY '23, it was under construction, and the operation of the temporary bridge and the old bridge, and then the new bridge was completely under, excuse me, was completely the contractor's responsibility. So we only had just a little bit of labor build out there, but this is probably FY 25 is a little more realistic.
So going forward, be around more like that 400 grand.
Cause it is 100% on us now.
And I assume that's just staffing or maybe some.
It is staffing,
Fuel.
it is staffing and then a little bit of small maintenance, and then you will soon see another new code for activity-based maintenance of the bridge, but we don't have a completed number yet, because we just barely started. But we did make a new code for very specifically.
Is that the only way to get to Grand Isle? That bridge?
Oh, no, you could go up the north and come down, couldn't you?
I
From,
don't know, I don't know
I
that
think you
area
could
well.
come down through, North Hero, you could get Alberg down.
Yeah, Sean Clifford, you can go up into, North Hero and come back down.
Yes, Route 78,
Yeah.
back over into,
Swanton up
yeah,
to-
back over into
Is that,
Swan.
and I just don't, I'm sorry, is that a busy road?
378.
No, where the drawbridge is.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the only road
That's
that
Route
way.
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Route
It
2.
is the only main road through the islands, so if you severed the bridge, it's, the detour is about, just about an hour.
It would be up
Yeah.
to,
That's a silly
to
question, but
Swanton.
Good, we like that.
why didn't we just build a taller bridge?
Oh, I love your question.
We can't go back in time, we'll leave it there.
I believe there was some resistance on a high bridge, and the drawbridge wasn't a dead thing, and, we built a drawbridge.
Or drawbridge, Vermont's drawbridge.
But we could have maybe, was it a cost thing? I can't imagine that the higher bridge would have been that much more because the drawbridge.
So the biggest problem would have been with that and constructability is there is a marina right on the south end of the drawbridge. And I mean, it is right there, and that marina would have been severely affected by stretching that roadway out. And
Maybe easements.
I think it would have affected them so severely. I'm not sure that they could have fully operated the way they are right now. There would have been a significant impact on that end of the bridge.
You got a drawbridge.
Mazda own that marina?
I don't think he does.
Sorry, Senator Mazda, if you're watching it.
You all saw the article.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Did they mention the drawbridge?
You get the last one. Okay.
They should.
So Ernie's messing with my.
I am. There it is, right there. We'll have just a few minutes. I'll hit a couple other high points.
Leave time, you even track leave time.
We do, because the system also is our payroll.
Oh, all right.
So working for others, there's a significant amount of time on there. That's up in the middle.
Others within AOT.
And so that is every time that we get asked to do something a little extra for another division, another
Like
agency.
plowing in airport.
No, that's not on here.
Oh,
Yeah.
there's gonna be a code for that too, right?
There is, but it would be in someone else.
For that.
Yeah, it would be in the aviation's budget.
Oh, okay.
So we spend a significant amount of time helping our partners throughout state government. So that was a pretty big number.
And the fuel line for general administration.
Yeah. And
So like in the diesel fuel you buy for the plow is definitely in maintenance.
Yep.
And this is just other fuel and.
And I'll jump right down to general administration because it's such a huge number. General administration, when the budget is presented this way, it is a tough number because every single thing that does not fall into one of these categories falls into general administration, which is kind of a little bit rough, but you are right on the money. Heat, fuel, the list goes on and on and on. All of our rents throughout the whole statewide system, that goes into general administration. We have some massive electric bills. I mean, all of the electric bills. I know in Chittenden County alone, I think we get 120 electric bills just in Chittenden County for all the lighting systems.
We got a lot of people up that way.
That is correct.
At some point, I don't mean to double back and jump you around a bit, but this is the first time in my 3+ years on this committee hearing about the concern about the amount of trash we're picking up on our roadways. And so during the bottle bill discussion, a major concern was that we should have asked it because that would prevent people. I would love more information about the nature and composition.
Oh, these are
Types of
garbage
trash.
bags
Yeah.
full of household garbage.
Is it mostly people putting those at dump
Yeah.
sites, or is this picking up the small things along the roads?
No,
It is.
Is it going up over the years? Are we seeing it increase? Or is it, do we double the fines to get some news coverage on this?
I actually can get you a whole 10-year history if you want of garbage, and it's about,
sometimes it's appliances, it's microwaves,
it's awful.
it's everything.
It's getting
Refrigerators,
worse,
tires.
getting worse.
Well, because of dumping fees and what they've done, I mean,
So
it's just,
people, it's a no-cost way of getting rid of your household garbage.
We have little dump spots up our way that need no more cleanup, the next thing you know, there they go.
We don't use that one, I just didn't think people noticed.
They're noticing.
We saw your name, we just didn't, well, hadn't been there yet.
But you don't do any statistics of the type of trash. You're not saying like, you do weight
We do
and
wait.
cost, but you're not doing like this much was X or Y.
No,
It was primarily at specific locations.
no, we walk all 6,000 lane miles of highway. And it takes, excuse me again, it takes around 6 weeks for us to pick our litter in the
You
springtime.
guys do a fantastic job. I always say that. You guys do a fantastic job. And I know it's not like what any of them want to do, but they do a fantastic job. It just looks so much better.
Well, do you remember the summers, Ernie, when they used to, actually hand side the side of the roads or the highways?
Each garage pretty much has a hand side
Remember that?
hanging up.
It used to be.
That was
full
back in the
employees
shed,
for
in the back
school
sheds.
teachers. A lot of the
Yeah.
school teachers would go
Mhm.
out and work for the highway department. It was pretty labor intensive.
The one drawback about the litter, so most of our employees actually don't mind it. They're outside. It's fun work. It's an adventure. The bad thing about it taking 6 weeks, though, it takes every single employee 6 weeks to do this, is it's right in prime construction season. So,
Get before the grass grows.
so for 6 weeks, we're picking litter instead of,
Do you have those like adopt a highway things? That's just, and it's separate from the.
we do not do adopt a highway in the state of
Remember when
Vermont.
Phil Scott got in difficulty because he was cleaning along the roadsides? And you have to have permission or during a certain period of time?
He did it with his campaign. It was not.
I don't remember what it was, but there's limitations on.
You can't just.
First of all, you can't go out on the interstate, I don't
Right.
think, and clean up litter.
You cannot go out on the interstate. A citizen can't go out on the interstate. and pick litter.
If you off the highway, you pay for other people that are trained to do it.
I think that's been discussed in this building, but I think it's quite a ways out of my circle of influence. It has been discussed. I know it has.
Your revenue source.
They pay to pick up
In
trash.
other states, this stretch of the highway.
Well, I see that, yeah.
Shit in the state senate, yeah, you could do that, maybe.
But I guess the revenue would be that you would have less cost. You would
That's
save money.
realtor up in the northeast kingdom, I'd probably adopt some highways.
Yeah, probably.
What do you,
And then, sort of one more thing on this is, have I ever seen corrections used?
So we used to use corrections.
Your work camps, work release, most of those individuals are now going through diversion, so the composition of who's incarcerated now has changed, but.
So, yeah, because I remember because they used to do mowing too, at least just for the public or nonprofit.
They did.
There's less of that
Yep.
happening as well.
Yep.
And so you're just not able to find those people.
I think they closed the work camps.
So I believe they closed the work camps. I believe you're 100% right, Senator, and they also weren't free.
Yeah,
They were,
Well, they had to be supervised.
yeah,
but they were, I'm assuming it's cheaper than paying AOT employees.
it was.
I'm sure the process of it is probably not easy either. I mean,
It could be challenging sometimes, but we would always get through it. I kind of like to mention every once in a while, most of you folks, I've been here presented before, then I took a break and now I'm back. So I started here in 1997, so I've seen a lot of changes. And I actually, half of my years here were on the highway as a worker. So the trash picking thing it's something else. That's how I knew a truck would hold 2 tons. It takes a long time to pick 2 tons of cups. So Yeah, I'd love to answer any questions. I don't want to run over my time. I know that was very fast for a lot of money, so I can answer any questions.
I have to say, we have more detail in your budget than we would have in any other agency or department in state government.
So, and just one question, I know the answer, but tell me what these sheets, tell me what department this is. This is all from all the trucks that are on the road that you have, from when including the garages. And this is the garages as well, so
Yep.
all the districts and all of that, this is what 108,598,497,000 is.
Yep, so it's 64 facilities.
Yeah.
When I say facilities, that's a fence. So some of these can have 5 buildings. I
Right.
believe it's around 300 buildings that we own.
Yeah.
We also rent some buildings. This is labor, fuel, all the orange trucks that you see.
Yeah.
Yes, the sea of orange, that's what this budget is
Yeah.
covering right here. Plow trucks, patching potholes, you name it, the whole gamut. We have about,
Mowing,
yes.
How are you doing, with a shortage of CDL drivers? And I know you've got a CDL program,
We do.
so I was wondering how you're doing with,
So in some areas, we are doing great. We are doing great. Up in the Northeast Kingdom, if you have a state job, you can pretty much guarantee that person's gonna stay for their whole career.
yeah, I can believe that.
When we jump down into Chittenden County, White River Junction, or right on the Massachusetts line on the interstate, the east side of the state, we have a hard time retaining help. Very hard time. Chittenden County right now, Colchester specifically, that garage is experiencing a mid 20% vacancy rate. It's a tough area. It's a tough market. There's a lot of private industry there that
Yeah,
they can steal that CDL driver and all they do is pass that higher cost on to the end user. So if you're building a home, you're paying more for that dump truck, whereas we can't do that. So it's a little rough in Chittenden County.
You got hired by a paving company and then you pay them through your contracts.
Yes.
And just a construction company.
So actually that literally happens all the time.
Do you have a CDL
I do have a CDL.
and you keep it?
I do keep it.
Do you have a CDL, Shauna?
Oh, they do not want me driving a big orange truck.
I would,
No.
no, me either. There wouldn't be a guardrail between Montpelier and Danville.
So no, I do not have one.
So of that half of my years in maintenance, when I say I was a maintenance worker, I mean literally I started at Middlesex for $6 an hour roughly as the lowest level state employee that you could come here as. So plowing the roads, I've spent some of that time mechanicking. And that whole time I was every year behind the wheel of a plow truck. So I'm normally very happy to present our maintenance budget. I'm proud of the men and women, how hard they work for V-Trans. They're very dedicated public folks, very
Well, I've
dedicated.
said this numerous times. I have commuted from Danville to either Montpelier or Waterbury since 1973 and never not made it to work because of winter weather. One time couldn't make it and was a flood in all the roads, you just couldn't get through. And I think that's a real testament to, the people that are there, maintaining these roads. I think that's pretty incredible.
In my real estate practice, I'm asked all the time, well, how are the roads there? And I say, hey, listen, you do not have to worry. V-Trans knows snow. And it's what I say. And it's the way it is.
And you can tell where one district ends and another begins. And a lot depends on the timing of the loop, because people,
Or how far away they are from the garage on top of Sheffield Heights. The one on the northern side is always in better shape, but it's as far as you can get from Lindenville. And I can imagine by that time, the product's getting a little thin. And,
We get that question all the time. In our plow fleet, you have to go to Europe to find better snow fighting equipment than what we have here in the state.
Yeah, I've heard it's really very carefully engineered and very efficient.
Yep.
I had a question, this reminded me on some specialized trucks, which I don't know if they're maintenance, like the big vacuum trucks or trucks that would help to grab debris. This is from towns that need specific equipment for when there's an emergency, and they're not gonna go buy one, but the state has them. Do you allow municipalities to use?
So all summer long, we do have one grapple truck and we just got a second grapple truck, and all summer long, that truck rolled long hours, 7 days a week at first, picking up debris for towns.
For towns, so the
It's
towns,
state near the towns,
Okay.
but mostly it was organized in the towns. They would get the litter, say to like their town garage or the debris, and we'd go pick it up.
but is there a specialized truck that like helps to grab, like under a bridge, like if there's trees stuck under a bridge, things like that?
That the truck that we have, it could reach in front of a bridge, but it could not reach under the bridge.
And the big vacuum trucks, the Valcors or whatever.
So we actually, most towns are in way better shape than we are. We have one back truck, it's like a 1980 something, we got it from the Army and it is terrible. We're looking to replace it, so we do not have the capacity to help anyone.
So when you're talking about what you provide for the towns, that's just to pick up trash?
Yeah, it's like a,
Right.
in fact, the best way I can describe it, it's just like a log truck with a swivel grapple on the end. And then it just picks it up, and it's literally the same thing as a log truck, except for it has sides.
But these other things like vacuum trucks or specialized grabber trucks for,
You know,
debris, like flood debris that's stuck on a bridge, the state
if
doesn't
it's
have.
stuck in front of it or behind it, we can get it,
Right, but not underneath.
but not
Straight
underneath.
down.
Yeah, we can go down at it, you know,
And
the
does the
boom
town,
angle.
do you get those requests for towns for those?
We do.
kind of- And then you just kind of prioritize them in some way?
Yeah.
Based on where they are, like, but you only have one for the whole state.
We have two now for the whole state. We just got one.
But I assume you do state projects first before you do the town projects?
We
or-
do.
Because they're the major arteries.
Right.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, they were saying, oh, it'd be nice if the state were to buy these $250,000 trucks and then just let the different districts use it as the towns need.
A brand new Vector truck, a big one, they're $1 million. They're expensive.
No wonder they say let the state buy it.
Yeah, you're right. Well, they're also saying like, if the state, maybe there's always gonna be some part of the state that has some emergency that they thought it made more sense for the state, but.
Municipalities are joining together with certain shared equipment, I
Yeah.
believe, so, for that very reason.
Okay, any more questions for me?
No, very, very good, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good presentation, and I like the,
I thought you'd
sheets were
retire.
very